Yes, we are live. So today I we can test the Tumblr programming quickly. But do you have the setup, Rafa?
No, I don't. I wanted you to walk me through like what the instructions were. So I have the tumbler built and I have the nano, but I don't have
Yeah.
the PCB yet. But I wanted
Yes.
I wanted to ask if you could tell me a little bit about like what's actually happening, like how I connect all this stuff.
Yeah.
That would be really useful.
Okay, let me. Uh,
And part of the reason why I'm asking is because I created the onboarding registration for robot operators, which, by the way, you can now run in your Claude code as part of the. Well, it's not really a demo. You actually can register a robot live, um, and the but I want to have. We need a different onboarding, which is like the instructions for how to convert basically so one we need to be able to answer the question, is your robot compatible, right? Can your model like connect into the system? Then the second one is, how does your robot connect into the system? And there needs to be like either hardware requirements, you need like a custom MCP server, like the so I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying for me to understand what's going on, so that so I can even ask the right questions to like Claude and stuff.
yeah, actually, we had a architecture diagram uh, in one of the threads. I'll have to find out, but I can explain maybe. It's better. Mm, Yeah, so this is the firmware repo. So basically, what it does is opens up a, HTTP REST API for the movement. So it's basically it has four HTTP endpoints and some extra MDNS discovery stuff. So
And is this specifically to the Tumblr, or is this
yeah,
generalizable to any robot platform?
so this is like firmware. You cannot generalize it, so it has to be robot specific.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, uh, but like the same thing. We have like I have first I was doing individually like these MCP servers.
Hmm.
Uh, so this is like the my toy drone, and so it comes with a Python SDK that exposes an HTTP endpoint.
Got it.
Of so initially I was writing all these separate MCP servers, but for the Tumblr, since it's a custom robot for us, so I had to write the firmware myself. And then what I did was like generalize the MCP server into this one.
Got it. And this is the one that has basically robot execute, right? Because it's an
Yeah.
abstraction layer on top of it. So,
Yes. So
so if I were to try to describe what's happening right now, is a robot owner is um, a robot owner has to install the general firmware that we have, the general MCP, but they also need a lower level like configuration, which is the how robot execute task gets divided up into specific actions of the robot itself, like move this, do this, navigate here, like activate sensor. Is that fair?
No, I didn't understand the question.
Okay,
Mm,
so you have the generalized MCP server, right?
Yeah.
And the generalized MCP server has instead of having move forward or move back, or does it have those actions? It has robot execute, right?
Uh, it kind of goes through robot execute.
Yeah, okay.
Let me check.
But that's what I'm trying to figure out, which is like when I talk to a drone operator and they
Yeah.
ask me, "This sounds sweet. How about we collaborate and I'll put a robot on your network and like we can play around with this." They're then going to ask, "What do I need to do to put a robot on your network?" And I'm going to say, "Well, you just have to download this. Is this firmware or is this this? You need to configure your robot to connect to this MCP server. Is that what we're saying?"
Yes. So basically, like you have to write a plugin according to the template.
You have to write a plugin according to this template.
Yeah.
Um,
Um,
and then in that plugin, what it's doing is it's bridging the gap between what the robot firmware is doing and what the MCP server instructions are.
yes.
So so that's custom to basically every robot family platform, right? But
Sorry, I
I could
didn't hear what you said.
So
why?
that bridge, that plugin, is custom to every robot family platform.
In other words, the tumbler
Yes.
has one and the spider has another.
That's right.
Y-
And
Yeah.
the matrice has a different would have a different one, assuming we could even connect into their platform. If you could like somewhat jailbreak it, right?
Yeah. So it's basically, for example, let's go here. So this is what the plugin looks like, and then this is what is calling the Tumblr endpoint.
Got
Well,
it. So
here's the important question: how long does this plugin need to be if I bring a new robot?
It has just two Python files. That's it, and depends on what the affordances you want to expose.
you
For
only need,
Tumblr,
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
it's just like four movements, so it's quite simple. So it's just there are like these are just the MCP uh, calls. So there's like move has four parameters: forward, backward, left, and right. And then you will have to write. So the plugin, yeah. So basically, you need two things: the plugin here and the MCP server.
Hmm. That's right.
So
So
yeah,
the registration, the operator registration that I have in place right now, basically assumes your robot has an MCP server
yes,
or an API, basically. So
yeah,
like when you register, you have to say, how do I talk to your robot? And you have to add the link, which is the MCP server. That's your registration process. Um, the MCP server doesn't work unless you have a plugin to your robot, right? Because that's how you talk to the robot itself, right? That's how you give it instructions. Is that fair?
yeah,
Mhm.
yes.
And
So
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 basically,
another name rather than plugin, because plugin means that we plug into something bigger. But here it's basically an adapter because
yeah,
the code that you showed, Anurag, as you said, is specific to
that's
the
right.
tumbler. because the tumbler, basically, we can go forward, backward, and turn, basically. Okay? But that's something that is really specific to the underlying hardware.
Yeah, it's very
So,
specific to the robot. It's like a robot adapter.
yeah.
Like you're right. It's like you gotta like reach and connect into the robot, and that adapter is going to look very different depending on the software platform and hardware that you actually
Yeah.
have available.
So a few years ago, in this group, we tried to think: is there a generic template, to expose the capabilities of a robot? But even if we break into categories like a flying one or a
Yeah.
roving one, or even with big categories like that, any pattern is quite limited, because what of a flying robot that can also rove and on which you mount an arm? Okay, so
Yeah.
there is all this so also the work here that Anurag showed, that we need to do to put a robot on the network,
Yeah.
is not much more than what is asked if we want to take part into the EIR 8004, right? 8004, we need to write a document where we expose the capabilities, but we also have to provide a way to use those capabilities, right? Okay. And
Yeah.
so
But
that's up to the application developer, okay? It's not the robot maker, right?
yeah, but we could. So I'm gonna speak a little bit ambitiously, which is I think it would be possible to use LLMs to auto generate adapters if
Yeah.
you have hardware specifications and software specifications available for the LLM review. So it's
Mhm.
possible that the onboarding process says what's your robot, and you upload the model, the unique ID of what you bought, right? Because these are also external registrations that are they're like guns. Like you can actually own a robot of certain calibers without like certain registrations with the parent company and like whatever it is. That's so far what I have understood. It's kind of like a computer, like your Mac has the unique identifier, and that unique identifier tells you exactly what the hardware and software configuration is at the point that you bought it. Now, if you have that, then at robot registration, hypothetically, you could have an LLM that auto develops your adapter to that specific robot and gives you an MCP server automatically, right? This is if we do it now. If we do it in the future, it's very possible the platform already gives you an MCP server to begin with, which I would expect it to be like true in maybe like a couple of years, 3 years. This problem might go away for us. Like
One question based on that, Rafa, that so I read the MCP specification, but I haven't worked much with it, so I may be completely off. But it sounds like what you propose, I think, a good thing is a specialization of MCP for robotics.
yeah,
Does it sound like because when we specialize, usually it becomes narrower. We focus on something specific, and then generation, whether with an LLM or with a traditional software template, just becomes much more workable, right?
that's
Sounds
right.
like
Yeah, I'm also thinking about basically in a traditional company, you would have a forward deployed engineer that would basically sit inside a robotics company their to solve the adapter problem, right? They kind of like an implementation specialist. But I think that again, I think we can solve that in the onboarding process by just having an LLM write the basic adapter that then you can customize um, through it. So we create a generic MCP server that basically that you have a generic MCP server and you have a generic adapter, right? An example, and you can write a skill that basically has the LLM use those references to write an adapter for a new robot. It would get better over time because you would have more references and you would actually learn about it. I think it's possible. Yeah. Okay. That's really useful. I think the last question that I had, Anuraj, with regards to this is based on this, the we have two possible partnership tracks with robot companies. One is find talk to Elago, for example, or Elago. I'm not sure, and because they're open source, right? And we already like wrote an adapter for them that they can potentially use for teleoperation. But then you have via agents, I mean, but or you can try to talk to a company that like produces like matrice or like drones. The first one I assume is a lot easier because it's open software, right? And the second one I would assume is much more difficult because it's going to be platform secure software. Is that your intuition as well?
No, I didn't understand the
So I want to go talk to a company to tell them,
Okay,
hey, I want to register more robots, right?
okay.
Um, and there's kind of my understanding so far is that there's two types of robot companies right now. There's
Mm,
robot companies that have open software, like
yeah,
Elago, right? So those are the
yeah,
kit and tinkering companies, and then you
yeah,
have professional closed ecosystem
yeah,
software like
yeah, yeah,
Matrice, right? Like the Matrice model, and like
yeah, yeah.
these like more high end, I have to pay $50,000 to use your robot type of situation.
So it doesn't matter what is behind the MCP, right? For example, the Tello, the toy drone I have,
Mm-hmm.
the firmware and so the platform is really closed. It's like the normal drones, but it's in a toy form factor, and they provide a Python SDK exposing. So they have like a protocol. So if you send it to this IP, this command, and so the drone would react in a certain way. So it doesn't matter as long as they are providing an SDK. You can just wrap it in a MCP and then expose it. So
So
it actually
in
doesn't matter like
in
what kind of software is behind the MCP.
so again, okay, that makes more sense. So it's not really about open or closed software. It's really about, does it have an exposed endpoint
Yeah.
that I can
Yes.
call? Often
Yes.
that's marketed as an SDK for development, but
Yeah.
basically it's the robot has to have an API.
Yeah. Some way to send the commands, and then like
Yeah.
if it's like hardware related, generally there is some sort of SDK which exposes it at some API or
Yeah.
URL,
And that
and then
SDK basically will give you the affordances list, right? So
yeah.
like
So
that,
in
that
in the
SDK,
Tello,
yeah, yeah.
like it has like affordances like takeoff and then land.
Mhm,
These are two
mhm.
affordances, and then rotate, and then you can parameterize it to like rotate it at like certain angle. And then if you
Yeah.
give this, so the SDK parses it and then commands the drone. So what I don't know what happens inside that SDK.
But you don't need, yeah, it doesn't matter what
Yeah, I
happens
don't need to
inside.
know. As long as I
Yeah.
can like control my drone, it's fine. Like
Yeah. Your insurance and liability will be different, I
Um,
suspect. It will be different models. So if I hire a drone that has a closed source, like that has an SDK, but I don't know what the software is inside, I suspect that will have a different insurance structure than like the drone creator will have much more, the robot manufacturer will have much more liability than if it's open and it's open software. I suspect that's interesting.
I have a question or suggestion. Do you think that the manufacturer of the tumbler would be interested in collaborating? I mean, we're
I
looking
think
at, and they should agree to have a plugin. Maybe it's other way around. They should
So
want.
do you have a contact at their company, Anuraj, by any chance?
it's just Elegu. I've never tried to contacting, but like we can try to
All
contact.
right, let's send them.
Um,
Let's get that cold email out.
we
I'll see
can
if we can
also
find.
check the Yahboom. Yahboom is another company that sells kits similar to, like, almost similar to, but it has like it's really much more robotics related to. It has
Can,
like or ROS to integration too.
Can you type in the name of that? So we have
Yeah.
Eligo
Sorry,
and
wait a second. Here, there is something that it's an incentive alignment for those companies, but also the Tumblr has no Wi-Fi in the first place. Okay,
Yeah.
so maybe it's better to target. Maybe they are similar. Now the ESP32 is very popular on those education robots. Okay, so maybe Elegoo sends some of them. Okay, but I think it's important to target something that that at least already has the specs to run on the network, right?
Yeah. So basically, we will have to find some robot which has like already Wi-Fi.
I, you know,
And
you go to Alibaba or AliExpress and you have thousands of them,
Thousands
and
of them. Yeah.
yes, and the ESP32 S3, okay, with Wi-Fi is quite popular, and even coupled, with the ESP32 card. Okay, so kind of interesting, right?
Yeah, but then like Tumblr was the cheapest we could build, right? So all those many of them are like more than $300 or something.
I'm sure we'll find. I'm working on finding us a rich benefactor, guys, to help us out to buy more insane robots. Well, I'm working on it.
I bought one recently for an
Y-
education project at school here,
Uh,
and on AliExpress you have always the same handful names coming back. So those can be good candidates.
I think we should contact the RB mates. It is like ESP32 based, and it is a self-balancing.
Ah,
Can you
okay.
type? Can you just type in the name again in the Discord chat or in the stream chat?
RB mates.
we need to
RB
have
mates, and what was the other one?
Yaboom and
Yaboom.
yeah. I don't know how
Yaboom.
the
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
we need to have a working robot that they can, log on to and control. If we're gonna
Yeah,
send
I
it,
mean,
I think
yeah.
this is the platform we want. Uh,
Who
so
is
I am
that?
in touch with
That's
the
RB mates.
yeah. So I'm in touch with the founder of this. So he's a guy
Could,
who wants to make toy robots, and it is
could,
I should get it in 2 days. I have ordered one of it. So
that's
uh,
awesome. Could we maybe arrange a meeting with him? I know you're going on holiday, but I think it would be great to sit down and talk to him about like a bit of a broader vision,
okay.
and see if he'd be interested in like, yeah, in the like formally being like, hey, like maybe advising us and how to build this, like co-building like the agent interface, like
Yeah.
You,
So let me send a message to the guy if he's
yeah.
interested. So he's in London. So initially I was thought of going to London to just to see what they are
Uh,
doing.
I'll go with you. If you go
Okay.
to London, I'll hop on a flight and I'll come hang out with you guys.
Yeah, and basically this is like a really great toy, I would say. Nicely done.
yes.
So, but it runs on like ESP32, which is like a little older CPU, but it's fine for us. So it's a toy. So we could actually design a newer PCB in this form factor and replace this microcontroller with a more powerful Neo one.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Basically,
let me check with the guy if he wants to meet.
yeah. So basically, what I'm trying to get to is trying to get to a kit that produces a robot that agents can control and produces some value in some niche. So there's three pieces to this. One, you need a robot that has the right kit. For this, we need a partnership with a robot manufacturer, whether it be Eligo, RB Mates, or Yaboom. The second is that kit needs to configure well with an agent. So that's mostly going to be on us to develop a skill or the wrapper for the agent to be able to talk to the robot. And the third piece is that it produces actual real value of some sort, It could be taking selfies. It could be construction surveys. It could be like, I don't know, um, like a game. It could be like an interagent game of some sort. But like that's the use case. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about.
I think like so this guy there are 3D. So what the guy is doing is like also providing kits for making games. So you can play. Actually, kids can play games with by printing these walls, and so you can play
Nice.
basically have a team of different color robots, and they can play football. And then we can like connect agents to those teams and kind of have a game. The agents playing games with these robots. So we can
Yeah.
actually build these.
Yeah. That's great.
I'd like to take a step further beyond what you just said, Anuraj. Okay, we have this robot and we're playing games. How do we show it? What's the best way if we send a letter to these people and say, look here, all robots are playing games, whatever? Do we send a YouTube video, still images, something else? I'm talking about
Like
something
once
display.
we have autonomous games going on, so basically this also is able to charge itself. I don't know how exactly it works. So so we can have like a stream, always on stream, that is pointing to the football or whatever game we are playing, and then it could be just a live stream that people can watch, and
I,
it could be a server that is
yeah.
playing with these robots football game,
Yeah.
and then
So I think that would be really cool, Anuraj. You know what came to mind when you said that? I was like, imagine you have the team of like the football, but then instead of giving instructions live the way you do in a video game, which is move right or move left, you're feeding strategies to the robot through agents.
Rafa, I'm taking you a step back, not to the robot, which is a stupid little machine, but the PC.
Yeah, the MCP. Yeah, so you're feeding a strategy. So like the player is not like directly controlling. You're like a football manager now, right? So like you're feeding strategies to an MCP server. That MCP server is trying to coordinate the robots to execute your
Okay, so
strategy.
that's very nice because you know what it means. It means that if you want to play robot football, the robot itself, you can have a strategy which might have parameters, but it's suitable for a lot of different robots.
That's right. And it tests our that's a little bit ahead of where we are right now, which is the auction model can only manage one task at a time. But what we really want to develop is strategy translation into robot workflows. So swarm dynamics. So if we talk to RB mates and talk to them about like creating the stream about like strategy, this would be really fertile ground for us to try to untangle what it would take to convert strategies in like to use agents to convert strategies into specific robot actions together in coordination. I'm sure there are already some solutions out there, but that would be cool.
Well, I don't know what you mean by some solutions out there. Do you know anybody that allows you to go on the blockchain and join a pickup
Well,
basketball game?
no, I was thinking that there might be things that there might be things in video games that already coordinate multiple NPCs in different contexts, and you might be able to pull from that. I have a conversation on Friday with Jay Springett, who has been doing a lot of research in video games, and he might be able to point us at the right time because it is a little bit similar, right? You're trying to coordinate multiple characters within a world, um, and ideally, you get a video game that translates like player strategy into multiple like moving pieces. I'm not sure. That's usually all problems have already been solved just in a different domain.
Well, that's what we have LLMs for. They know that somebody solved the problem.
That's
They're
right. Yeah.
trying to invent it. Um, but the truth is, I didn't really get Anuraj an answer to my original question. Let's imagine that you're sitting at Elegoo and you get this email from a guy called Anuraj saying, we'd like to work together because we've put up a MCP server that allows people to remotely control their robots and play football. And now I want to add something, which the guy looks at it and it takes him 20 seconds to say, yeah, I like it. Okay. There has to be something he clicks on and he says, yeah, I want to do it. Because if he has to log into a stream and the robots are down, whatever, and it has to be independent of us. In other words, it's asynchronous. He gets an email and he can see it. So it has to be a recording of something, but I'm not sure what it is that you show somebody in order for them to appreciate the remote control of robots.
I don't think anybody is thinking in that direction right now, right? Nobody's thinking about a decentralized autonomous agent control robot right now. So I don't know how would you explain it in a click. It takes any even engineers. I have to explain like what is actually happening for them to
We're
appreciate.
living in the future. We're living in the future.
Yeah,
Um,
well,
the,
So basically, if you show this to somebody, like first thing is like, what's the advantage of this? Like they are not able to appreciate the decentralized nature of it.
okay, you just explained why it's an interesting thing to solve. The reason why people would look at it, just like our game in a late night game in Tokyo, is because it's cool. Okay, so that's a reason. And the question is how to show them that it's cool. How to quickly get them to say, yeah, this is cool. I'm going to call up Anuraj now. And if nobody's done it, that just gives us, if nobody did it before, we have an opportunity to be leading the pack. And uniqueness, is very valuable for people to say, yeah, I'm going to work with you. So it's an open question. What if you got an email? Okay, you're a robotic company, and you got an email and had something to click on. What would have to be when you click that would make you say, "Oh wow, they're doing renting out telecontrol of robots using blockchain. I want in." And it has to be
Currently, I don't
cool.
have an idea.
I think, I mean, to me, the pitch has nothing to do with blockchain, or in the future, even AI. Like
Okay.
the pitch is going to be that, um, that there are certain things that, uh, well, I'm living in an agent future here, where
Yeah, yeah.
most of the companies have some sort of like software that uses agents.
Mm-hmm.
The pitch is that when you need a physical task complete for a project that you're coordinating, that you're doing, this decentralized system takes care of that task. So let's say, I'm going to use construction because it's the use case that I've been like deep diving into most of it. So engineering design firms have to design a highway, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So they're literally in the software designing the highway, and there's a tolerance which is outside of spec. So they got the raw data back, and they have a piece of the highway which has a tolerance in the software which is plus or minus 5 inches, but they actually needed plus or minus 1 inch. As they're designing, the agent in the background says, "Oh, you have a tolerance out of spec. Would you like me to correct this?" I mean, in the far future, that will be automatic, but let's assume that there's like some sort of accept, and some sort of procurement protocol guidelines that exist. The software itself will send a physical task, a drone that is within a mile distance of that highway, or 2 miles or 10 miles, depending what the range is, will do, or a rover or ground rover will go check will gather the data from the area and will bring it back, and it will feed back into the software. And by the time the engineer is back from lunch, the tolerance range has been corrected.
Okay, so let's take your use case, and I want to send this cold email to somebody in the highway construction business. And like I said, I
Yeah.
want to say, yeah, it's cool, I want it. So my question is not the scripting, but the actual media. What do you send them? Okay,
Um,
a
so the
video of how it works, a video of somebody going to lunch, a picture.
um so so my pitch. So I have a meeting next week with like a ACOM, which is an engineering firm.
Hmm.
The discussion with them will probably center around um, the pain point, which is um, you know, so they get sued if their designs are wrong. So the question is, can I prove that um, autonomous deployment of drones or robots gathering data will decrease their risk of being wrong in their designs? They don't care whether it's blockchain, AI, decentralized system in this specific case. So like I think that's a very different pitch than let's go to RB mates. So for RB mates, you probably need to talk about um, new types of games that agents that you might be able to play with agents and robots together, right? So I'm not sure about the media. I guess when I do have an answer, I'll definitely share it. But I think right now I'm mostly just focusing on the problem statements, not on the functionalities. So I want to prove that I understand what they want to solve for, whether it be for fun or whether it
Yeah,
be
we're not talking
for
about the same thing. You're talking about what do I need to do in order to sell them. I'm only saying what do I need to do in order to make them take a second look, say, wow, this is cool.
yeah, I don't know. My experience has been is like they care mostly about the problems that they have. They don't care about functionalities unless they're nerd pilled. I
Yeah,
care
but
about the functionalities, but
that's what
yeah.
we're talking about. We're talking about people. The people see the email and say, yeah, this is cool. Let me send it to my friends. Okay, so that's exactly the
Yeah.
trying to solve a problem. I'm not trying to help them make money. I mean, it's good if we do that, but what I'm trying to do is for them to say, yeah, this is the kind of use case we've been looking for because it's cool.
Yeah. I yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know. I
Okay.
yeah, I don't know. It's a good question because I think also like what you want to have is people like excited about the project and wanting to like help us like move the project forward,
Right.
not just like yeah, not just a partnership, right? Like you want people who are like genuinely excited for yeah, going to the moon, putting rovers on Mars.
I have to leave soon, guys. But if you guys
Oh,
want, we
can
can
you,
continue.
Anuraj, can you try the MCP installation for the marketplace on your Cloud
Yeah.
Code CLI and see if it
Okay.
works?
Yeah.
It takes about less than 30 seconds.
Okay. I'll try it in the afternoon today.
Shouldn't
Yeah.
shouldn't we have a protocol file that the LLMs can use? I mean, obviously to know what robots they're working on, but there's some. Do we have a protocol document that describes what the MCP protocol looks like? And now with another chapter about strategy, whatever you want to call it, interpretation.
No, I didn't understand what that even means because MCP will be different for every robot, right?
And yeah, and of course on the inside, but looking out, the API should be the same. No?
It depends on the no. because the tumbler and Tello have two completely different affordances. The one can fly and one can just move around on the ground. So the
And
MCP affordances, well, how, some of them are the same. So basically, if they have both the temperature and humidity sensor, then like the MCP endpoint is the same. But otherwise,
perfect.
the movement affordances are different.
Yeah, but you're looking at the lower level. I'm saying both of them need to move. So perhaps the exact command for moving is different. Okay? You need an actual command stay in place for a drone, but you can usually do without one for robots. I mean, a ground hugging robot. But there are not so many different things that these robots can do today. Not talking about the infinite future. Okay? It's like we have moving, we have sensing, and we have some of them have arms or whatever that they can interact with the world. That's, kind of it.
Yeah, I have to soon leave. Do you want to guys want to continue, or how is it? We have 15
Um,
minutes left.
uh, no, I mean, no, and I don't necessarily have, unless people have advice for my meeting next week, and that would be quite useful. But I don't know if people have experience with that, like talking to engineering design firms. But
No.
Okay,
no,
but I'll
yeah,
try to contact the founder of RB Mates and try to set up a meeting with us.
yeah. Let's go
Yeah.
visit. Let's go visit and do a factory tour.
Okay. Yeah. See you guys. Bye.
All right. Cheers. Bye.
Goodbye.
But